Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from Group 6 and today we are going to present about the analysis of intercultural communication in community. But first, let me introduce you to the group members. Number 1, Umi Choiriyah 1932-0097. Number 2, Adam Cesar Gunawan 1932-0155. Number 3, Syifa Amelia 1932-0055. Number 4, Irvin Rahadian N 1932-0118. Number 5, Ilma Nuril Fadlila 1932-0090. Number 6, Aldo Yusuf Johan 1932-0228. Number 7, Arinda Safitri 1932-0018. Number 8, Shahreza Novia 1932-0153. The first discussion is summary of the video. For this presentation, we choose a video from YouTube entitled Serunya Kumpul-Kumpul Bareng Teman, Banyak Rezeki. This video is uploaded by Ika. She is a YouTuber from Indonesia who now lives in Sweden with her husband. So this video is about a meeting of a group of people who come from Indonesia and now live in Sweden with their foreigner husbands. So their husband is Swedish and they are from Indonesia. They call themselves Swedish Wife House. In this video, they were asking about each other and then sharing their stories and also joking.
Alright guys, after we are knowing the summary of the video, the next is about the content, which is the first is about the verbal communication that we already found in the video. So pay attention please. Then, before we are going further, let's take a look to the definition of verbal communication at first. Based on Andrea Rocci and Louis de Saussure 2016 in their phenomenal book, which is called Verbal Communication, said that verbal communication is the easiest and most pervasive form of communication in human society. Here, the form of communication include of written or oral communication which can be captured directly and easily by someone who is invented to communicate. In sum, we can conclude that verbal communication doesn't require more study time when practiced in communication activities as usual. There are a lot of verbal communication that we found in this video, so based on that, we analyze some of them. The first analysis is about greeting. Halo Mpok Cangcingnya Babe, ketemu lagi sama Mpok Ika di sini. It was the first verbal communication that we found in this video. That greeting is an expression that is usually said when meeting someone in an informal situation. In this case, it means that Mpok Ika greets the viewers with Betawi language. Why she uses that greetings? Because it is the signature for her opening greeting and that is what any YouTuber usually does, right? And then the second is about Mpok Ika said, jadi kali ini aku bakal ketemuan sama grup genggong lengkap dan nanti bakal aku kenalin ke kalian semua. Here, Mpok Ika wants the viewer or she wants to showing another example of verbal communication which showing her intention of making the video. She said it in Indonesian again to make Indonesian people understand with what she wants to say in the video. In this episode, she wants to show the viewer that who are they that join in group of genggong and who are their husband. Then we move to another example of verbal communication that we found in this video. The third verbal communication that we found is kind of asking for interaction. Here, Mpok Ika said, Jangan lupa di like, comment, subscribe, and klik loncengnya untuk dapat terus pemberitahuan video selanjutnya. Like we already know that this is the verbal communication, like this is quite common, right, for a YouTuber in Indonesia. So do her following this trend to asking for the interactions from their viewers to do something, which is to like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification button, like that.
Alright, here we provide several examples analysis of verbal communication. Let's get started. First, if you guys watch these scenes, you will see two people talking in Swedish language. So I couldn't understand as well, since I couldn't understand any Swedish language. The woman is Indonesian, but the man apparently a native Swedish. Both of them are having ability to speak in Swedish, so they can talk with the verbal communication. To achieve verbal communication, both speakers supposed to have the same ability in one language they intend to communicate, so that they can have natural communication. So that Indonesian woman able to speak in Swedish, so she can talk to the man. Next, second of all, we can see three women in the kitchen are preparing for dinner. They are all Indonesian by looking their Indonesian dialects whilst they move to Sweden. Basically, Indonesian people love to joke, they have high hospitality, and so to maintain friendliness, one of them are giving riddles to joke. It is shown in the video. So since they have the same cultural background of Indonesia and they know all Indonesian term, even if they move to Sweden, so when the joke is given, they are all laughing together, means they get the message of its joke. Next, as in the children. This group consists of elder people and children. The children are asked whether they have delicious food or not, and they can correctly answer by saying enak, means they know what Po Ika has said. Moving to other countries, since early age make people tend to forget their own language because they don't have common environment talking in the way they have used to. Furthermore, they are mixed race children, so they have a high potential of this phenomenon since they are Swedish Indonesian people. But fortunately, they are still able to speak Indonesia. So grateful for this. And the last is the proof that the children are able to speak in Swedish and Indonesian. The children know the instruction from elder people in Swedish language, but before they also able to answer in Indonesia. So these scenes shows these groups celebrates children's birthday in a Swedish song, and means they can have verbal communication both in whether in Indonesian language and in Swedish language. Okay, the next topic is nonverbal communication will be explained by my friend. Thank you.
Okay, then I would like to explain about nonverbal communication. Check this out. So then let's start with the first. It is the definition. Scientific research on nonverbal communication and behavior began or start with the 1872 publication of Charles Darwin's The Expressions of the Emotions in Man and Animals. Since that time, abundant research has been conducted regarding types, effects, and expressions of unspoken communication and behavior. So it's like a written communication or maybe your behavioral communication. While these signals are often so subtle that we're not consciously aware of them, so it goes naturally. Research has identified several different 9 types of nonverbal communication. Next. So there are 9 types of nonverbal communications. The first is gestures, paralinguistics, body language and posture, proxemics, gaze, haptics, appearance, artifacts, and the last, a word from very well. Next. So in this analysis, we could find 4 examples of the using of non-verbal communication in the video. The first one, Tita waves her hand to Po Ika. In the scene, when Dita waves her hand, she does this when Poika greets her. As it is known that this can be categorized in nonverbal communication in the form of gestures. So it's like when your body move naturally or not, consciously or not, it means gestures. When Tita responds to Poika's greeting well, this was proven when Tita was busy styling her hair, but she still had time to respond her friend's greeting. What she did showed or implied that Tita appreciated her friend's greeting in order to create the essence of politeness and hospitality. Next. So the second examples of the using of nonverbal communication is when Mpok Ika's view towards to the top. There's a scene when Mpok Ika is telling the audience or the viewer or her viewer about her surroundings. Several times it was seen that Mpok Ika often looked up at nothing on the rooftop or something else. This also categorized in nonverbal communication in the form of a gaze. It means that when she does a contact, a gazing, or rolling eyes, or blinking, it means that it categorizes in a gaze. She did this instinctively. The reason Poika did this was to think of the right words she should use to tell to the viewer what she felt clearly. Instinctively, most people do the same thing when they want to think about something spontaneous, or when you're thinking about something but you could not find the right answer of it. You usually, or me, usually do the same thing of Mpok too. Next. Okay, then the third analysis of nonverbal communication in the video. It starts when Mpok husband keeps his distance from Susan. The scene when the women were preparing dinner in the kitchen, we could see that Mpok husband keeping his distance from the woman. These actions can be categorized in nonverbal communication in the form of proxemics. So that means of proxemics is when you are not trying to disturb someone's space. So you are avoid that, or maybe to prevent that disruption. Then the distance maintains that Mpok Ika's husband does may be done consciously or unconsciously. The reason he did that was probably not to disturb the woman's territory or the woman's activity, so the dinner could be prepared as soon as possible without any disruption. So the last analysis of nonverbal communication we could find in the video is when Mpok Ika hugs Daniel, or her friend's husband. There's a scene where Mpok Ika hugs her friend's husband, Daniel, when he visits Mpok Ika's house. Obviously, this is not included in an affair, so there's not something like that. What Mpok Ika did was very reasonable because it was in accordance with the culture that exists there. A culture that's carried out when meeting with old friends or even new people by hugging is a common thing. So there's not reasonable thing that you are hugging someone that you already meet. The purpose of Mpok Ika's action was to give a warm welcome to Daniel's little family for visiting her house. This is clearly categorized in nonverbal communication in the forms of haptics. So haptics is when you're doing something's interaction, physical interaction with your partner. So it could be categorized as nonverbal communication. Next.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Ilma Fadlila, and my student ID number is 19320090. And now I'm going to explain the cultural conflict that happened in the community. So as we know that intercultural communication is defined as the interaction of communicators and communicants with different cultures. So of course, there are some obstacles because of the differences that exist between the two. So in this case, I will see what obstacles arise in intercultural communication that is in a community. So in this presentation, there are two obstacles that arise in intercultural communication that happened in the community. So the first is stereotypes and the second is prejudice. Stereotypes are defined by Semover and Porter as perceptions or ideas we hold about groups or people based on previously developed thoughts or attitudes. As the definition suggests, stereotypes do not develop suddenly but are formed over a period of time by our culture. They are made up of bits and pieces of information that we store and use to make sense of what goes on around us. While stereotyping may reduce the threat of the unknown, it interferes with our perceptions and understanding of the world when applied to individuals or groups. Often stereotypes are problematic because they are oversimplified, overgeneralized, and exaggerated. So statements such as blacks are blah 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 and then athletes are not blah 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 and or women should blah blah blah. Those are example stereotypes because their content are beliefs based on half-truths or distortions about a group of people. Meanwhile, prejudice like stereotypes can be good or bad, although it is most commonly defined as unfair, biased, or intolerant attitudes or ideas against another person or group simply because they belong to a certain religion, ethnicity, nationality, or another group by Samovar and Porter. So, like example, like a person who say, I don't want Batak group living in my area, for example, is expressing prejudice. So prejudice is like stereotypes, involves individuals or groups' assumptions based on unfounded ideas, attitudes, or beliefs. It is like according to John's definition of prejudice, is a person within the group are not assessed in terms of their individual value, but according to the superficial features that make them part of the group. Because we cannot find any cultural conflict happened in the video, but instead we will explain the case of stereotype and prejudice that might be happened. Based on the thesis entitled Antar Budaya pada Komunitas Aron di Kota Brastagi by Remaja Putra 2019, prejudice and stereotype might be happened in the interaction between community members. So prejudice and stereotypes create communication barriers between ethnic Karo and Toba Batak. There is an assumption that some ethnic Karo consider that Toba Batak ethnic want to colonize the Karo area. This prejudice is marked by satire from some of the Karo ethnic groups who say siat takal siat daging or fits head and body, and the satire is compared to the philosophy of the cow who stole the grass through the fence. When the cow had failed to get grass through the fence, will try to enter the body to get more grass. And based on the research, the pattern of intercultural communication in the Aron community belongs to the category of interactive, and the communication process occurs between ethnic Batak Toba immigrants with Simalungun, Batak Toba with Karo, Simalungun with Karo, and Karo with Gayo and Alas. Meanwhile, the pattern of intercultural communication in the transactional category is one only found in Batak Toba and Karo. So basically, the pattern of intercultural communication in the dynamic category is owned by ethnic Batak Toba immigrants with Karo ethnicity. And the researchers also found that the pattern of interactive communication is limited because of some of the indicators that have been described regarding communication barriers. Some communication processes that occur are only included in two-way or reciprocal indicators but do not understand each other. And there are also only entering the stage of mutual flow and understanding each other but not understanding each other's feelings between ethnicities. So therefore, there are obstacles in their communication that form prejudice and are already included in the category of stereotype.
The dinner is meatballs every day. Meatballs are quite popular in Sweden, and for good reason. They are tasty. However, they are not as popular as hamburgers. Salmon is, in fact, the most often consumed food. This stereotype is true, as in the example video on YouTube. At 6:14, the creator named Poika asked her husband for help to move the meatballs. It's not clear if they really moved or not, because it wasn't very clear what her husband was doing. Then at 11:11, when Poika showed all the food dishes, it was clear that there were meatball dishes there, even though Poika did not explain that there were meatball dishes there. But the meatball dish can be seen clearly on the table in the video. Then, because in the video the women are mostly from Indonesia, so the food served looks rich in spices. Like there was fried vermicelli at 11:06, which Poika mentioned, and chicken laos, which was Indonesian cuisine when they had a meal together.
Okay, next we will discuss about cultural solution about stereotypes and prejudices in a community. Stereotypes and prejudices are the root of various forms of dehumanization in human life. And in Indonesia, stereotypes and prejudices color the relation in inter-ethnic life. Then, being a citizen of an ethnic minority itself is about how to survive. Life for a member of an ethnic minority itself is not an easy thing. His whole life is a story of survival and fighting against anyone who stands in his way. For example, in a social community, society is like a theater stage. Everyone doesn't write their own screenplay. They play a role in accordance with what is expected by society. In this game, everyone needs a costume as a tool needed to support the appearance. A religious figure will not wear shorts when he is giving a lecture, even though shorts are his daily clothes. Mother will wear his scarf when she going to the ta'lim majlis, even though she opens her hair every day. This is part of a way to adapt the look to the social role she is currently playing. So it is less likely for someone to experience stereotypes and prejudice in their community. The cultural solution in the community against stereotypes and prejudice. Firstly, the first condition is to make them mutually dependent on each other, or mutual interdependence. Mutual interdependence is a situation in which two or more groups need and depend on each other to achieve goals that are important to them. Number 2, the second condition is to make them work together to achieve certain goals. Then, the third condition is to create equal status between individuals in the group. No one is more powerful than anyone, and prejudice can be reduced. When the individual status is different, interaction or contact can lead to accessing stereotype pattern, such as when the boss talks to his employees, the boss will behave according to the general stereotype about the boss.
So the next cultural solution will be delivered by me. For the next solution, the fourth condition is that through friendly and informal interaction with some outgroup members, individuals can better understand that the stereotypes they believe in are wrong. Placing two different groups in one room is not easy to reduce prejudice because each individual will remain focused on the group. Individuals can know and understand other individuals better if they are in a one-to-one basis where the interaction is more interpersonal. The next is fifth condition. We can solve that cultural conflict by friendship, informal interaction with multiple members, outgroup, and individual will learn that his belief about the outgroup is wrong. And the last solution is the existence of norms that promote and support equality among groups. And then strong social norms can be used to motivate people to reach out to outside group members. For example, if a boss or professor creates and reinforces norms of acceptance and tolerance at work or in the classroom, group members will change their behavior to conform to those norms. Likewise, with the conflicts that occur between Karo and Toba Bata ethnic groups who experience obstacles in communication due to prejudice and stereotypes. That's all from us. Thank you for your attention and sorry for any mistake. The last be say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.